All right, and I think might be our last little guy. Dispel. What up, Dispel?
Hi,
How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you doing after the
I'm doing
debate?
great. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, I've got a question for you, and I'm very curious. This is something I've been kind of itching for you to ask of you for a couple of weeks, honestly.
Yeah. Hit me.
So it's great that I'm finally getting to hit you with it, right? A lot of discourse being talked about now that Gavin Newsom's doing pretty well, this sort of discourse is sort of falling by the wayside. But we've got these black-pilled leftists who we shouldn't steer policy towards, right?
Yeah, the black pill leftists that we shouldn't steer policy towards, in general, I'd say
Right.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to vote for us. They didn't vote for us in 2024. There's no way to get their vote in 2026, 2028.
Of the black
So Pisco,
pillars,
I'm curious.
I think that there's of the influencer class. Yeah, for sure. I think they have, in many respects, I think they're grifters and they have like a cornered market of just basically always just talking shit and never recognizing wins for the Democrats. Of the individuals who vote for them, like, I think that there's probably some use appealing to people in the middle, appealing to some disaffected voters, some disaffected Dems, but I don't know where those circles are and where they overlap. But in general, I would say the Democrats shouldn't be appealing to people that they're not apt to convince. And I think that the black pill commentator class is probably not people that they should spend an inordinate amount of time trying to appeal to.
Right. Okay, so then I think that so then you're probably very familiar with them, right? So I'm curious what these because apart from the black-pilled class, what do you think these black-pilled people who are affiliating, who are paying attention to black-pilled class media, what do you think that they're getting? What are their problems? What are their gripes? Because like
Yeah.
this is not a question that nobody was asking this
So,
in
so
these discussions.
you're
Why are they
you're
black-pilled?
asking about the viewers? The viewers?
Yeah, why do you think they're black-pilled?
Why are viewers black pilled, or why are the commenters black pilled?
I mean, for the commenters and viewers broadly, it's going to be
I think there's
slightly
an
different.
evolution.
You
Let me
can vote
address.
if you want.
Yeah, I can address both. Let's talk about the creators.
Right, the people who make the
Yeah,
content and the people who watch them, right?
yeah. Let me address both. So I think for the creators, I think that there's an evolutionary niche for this kind of stuff. And it's not too, I think, unlike, it's a different kind of niche than like the Ryan Mullally. I might even put like a shade of Wick TV in there, not the complete shade of Wick TV, but this kind of need. Maybe I'd put in there like Adam Friended, such an Adam type people, the enlightened centrist types, where there are people who want to be above the fray, who don't want to involve themselves in sort of these political discussions. Have you ever seen the movie Reds? It's one of my favorite movies.
I have not.
Okay, it describes, I think, the Eugene O'Neill character, who's played by Jack Nicholson, where he is just a complainer a certain degree, and people like to read that shit. And sometimes it's done in good faith, sometimes not. But I think there is an evolutionary niche for people who just complain about everything, and I'm not even saying that complaining about everything is always wrong, and not everyone needs to be like a partisan and wear their heart on their sleeve like me. And some people, but I do think that there's like market to be made, and there are some people who genuinely just love complaining about everyone in power no matter what.
Yeah,
Then for the
complain and
viewers,
make same
yeah,
as gossiping.
and that's also kind of coextensive with the viewer. A lot of times, I think when it's done correctly, these truth tellers have a rapport with their audience, and their audience comes to them for trusted takes. They come to trust that individual. They have the feeling this person's more objective. And sometimes the result is they can be a little bit more objective in certain ways when they're always complaining. These complainers sometimes have useful things to say. So, for example, I really don't like Glenn Greenwald. I think that he's just not a great person. I'm not a fan of his politics. I think that both sides of it. But there are some times where he says things. Speaking of optically, I think that Glenn Greenwald does a really good job sometimes presenting arguments that I agree with in a compelling and useful way. And so I think that some people are themselves similarly inclined to the producers, the black pill producers or whatever, the black pill content creators. But there's also genuine value sometimes from these observations. I think the similar thing with Michael Tracy, where I disagree with a lot of what Michael Tracy says. Sometimes he actually does some decent reporting or decent argumentation, and I think that he's useful. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like a long blabbing answer, but yeah.
Right. So, I mean, you don't necessarily believe that Hassan's worldview is objective truth, right? Though.
Hassan's worldview is objective truth. I don't really have,
Right,
again,
because you said that viewers go to their respective influencer for an objective sense of reality,
or
or at
just
least,
or
you know,
just
some
entertainment,
framework to view,
or,
yeah,
or just
entertainment, a
entertainment.
framework to view the world, socio-political stuff like that.
Yeah, so I think that some people find value in what Hassan says, in terms of substantive political takes. I don't really. I I will admit
Yeah, I mean,
that
neither
there
do
have
I.
been like a couple streams with the Thanksgiving streams where he has Shank on, and people know I have my big disagreements with Cenk Uygur, massive actually, and had now for months. But that was entertainment. Like it was
Oh, because
entertaining.
he's turning
Yeah.
up to the right
And
wing.
one other thing as well,
He's stuffing the fumes.
I saw Hassan do a little react stream to Mecha Hitler Twitter bot guy, Grok. Remember that? And
Yeah,
him
yeah.
reacting with Stav is maybe the most I've laughed at a video in the last
Him and Stav are a great
5 months.
combination.
Yeah, yeah. So just to, in other words, I don't really have a notion of objective truth beyond like my like with some kind of personal reference. So I wouldn't go to Hassan for quote objective truth or subjective truth, or however you want to say it. I don't really have a strong grounding epistemically. But I think there are many reasons. One reason you might go to Hassan is because sometimes he has good content. And that's again funny.
He's got
Yeah.
good content, but like the people daily tuning in for his reacts, for like how he sees news and reality. These are people who are viewing the world probably through a revolutionary Marxist lens, very disaffected with the Democrats, and you know they've got a lot of concerns with how the government has been running and how
Yeah.
it's going.
I'm
Not
sure there's some
just
truth to that.
with
Yeah.
Republicans, but also the
With Democrats,
Democrats.
I'm sure there's some
Right?
truth to that. Yeah.
So and there's a lot of that, you know, we can't do, right? There's going to be a move through markets. Money is going to stick around. I'm so sorry. Every single project that has tried to abolish money has completely failed. It is a very useful thing that organizes a lot of human relationships. We're not going to be getting rid of
Money?
it anytime soon, right?
Oh,
And so yeah, I know,
do,
right?
do you
Yeah,
understand?
unbelievable.
Does Hassan argue against money?
I don't know, actually. I mean, I don't watch enough of him, and I don't think you do either to
I don't really
refute
watch.
me.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't watch a ton of Hassan. So, for example,
But that is very like classic Marxist-Leninist, like black pill
to be against
perspective.
money.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
Or
know
at
that.
least, you know, how money is set up in like the current day, right? Where people are, you know, buying and selling goods, and their, you know, time is getting extracted and siphoned away
I understand
for
some
like
some
long-term
versions
investments,
of.
property, stuff like that.
I understand
Stocks, yeah.
some distillations of communism to say, for example, the end goal is a classless, moneyless, stateless society. So I've heard those kinds of things before. I didn't know that it was intrinsic to the Marxist-Leninist version of the
Oh
world.
no, there's been all sorts of, you know, like renovations, deviations, especially with like China now, right?
Yeah, but, although you know, query whether those are considered like I think under Counterpoints' definition of socialism that he provided in our discussion, Stalinist Russia is not socialist, China's not socialist, and so we really, at the end of the day, had a no true Scotsman in that whole sort of series of discussions. But I hear you, yeah. But if he's against money, I think it's stupid. I think money's it's great to have a medium of exchange. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and China completely agrees, right? They've gotten, you know, they're completely integrated into like the sort of like the cloud yuan, right? This sort of like currency that can move across the entire world without, you know, skipping through all these like intermediary
Yeah,
steps.
I think money's
Yeah,
good. I like money.
you like yes, right? And I guess so. We both agree money's good. And there's these two sort of separate concurrents of how money is like flowing through the world right now. So why do you think American people they're just not voting, right? A third of America just didn't vote in the last election. Isn't that astonishing when you lay it out? All right. I don't know how many people were disenfranchised by voting, so they could have voted, they just didn't. But a third of Americans just didn't vote. Isn't that crazy?
What do you mean by crazy?
I mean, that's a lot of people. I feel like I want people. I mean, we really don't have a lot of elections. Let's be honest. We
No,
don't
but
have a lot of
if
national
what you mean by
elections.
crazy is like, did I expect it? Yeah, I
I mean,
expected it. If what you mean by crazy
but you
is it
expect cra-
wrong? I think it's wrong, and I think it's
you expect
bad.
people to be crazy. I feel like you know, humanity craziness is like
I'm just asking what you mean by it. If what you mean by crazy is like, is that okay? Like, I feel like people get triggered when I ask like what you mean. Like, if what you mean by crazy
no,
is,
I do want more people voting. I want more people
Yeah, I think it's
involved in the voting process. Like 1/3. I think it's a shame. How about that?
yeah, I think
it's not
a,
crazy.
It's
It's
a
a
big
shame.
Yeah, it's a shame. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, I agree. It's a shame. Huge shame.
Right? And there's, you know, there's lots and lots of loud people who are disseminating their own voice over the internet through intermittent fucking drama slop and bullshit like that. And I think we got to remember, you know, there's a lot of people out there who are just looking for something solid, something, foundational. So I'm very curious, like,
Agreed.
why in America do you think between Obama and now we lost all this sort of momentum as people who are trying to build an egalitarian future?
Um, so I don't know that I agree with so the premise that we've lost people hoping to build an egalitarian future.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot writing on that, but
No, I
I
don't
feel
know.
like,
Like,
a third of people
did we
kind
lose
of just
that?
don't believe in voting.
Oh,
I think so.
I think I'm not sure how many people voted in 2012. You know, did a
What
ton of
percentage of the population?
yeah. Like
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
the
Off the top of my
2020
head.
election was the most participated election in like 100 years. So there was a lot
Yeah,
of
I
voter
remember
participation
that.
in 2020.
Right, people wanted to kick the lard ass out. Excuse my French.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, now he's back.
So like I'm not sure that there's been like a humongous change in the amount of people if our measure of the people who want to believe in an
I think it's
egalitarian
definitely
future.
up for change, if that's what you're saying, right?
Sorry, I'm not understanding.
It's not something that's set in stone. It's entirely something that we can bring people out and into.
I hope
the
so,
fold.
yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. No, the reason I bring this up is I think it's very important to talk about why people are blackpilled, right? Why people stayed out of the last election,
Sure.
and I think there's a lot of reasons. And I hope you can get real solid for useful polling. Wow, Pisco, I'm getting ads from your Discord right now with actual polling by the year.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I don't. You're saying we need to get into the like sort of the roots into why people are not voting as much, or why people get disenchanted with voting, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think this is definitely something Gavin Newsom needs to consider. Instead of, I mean, his social media posts, I think it's awesome. I think it's great. I think it means that he believes in something at least, or he has a desire for power. But I think he needs to make a stand, and he needs to, talk about what he believes in.
Yeah.
And not just,
So what's the like?
spewing.
I don't know like why some people voted in 2020 and not 2024. I imagine it has something to do with the lack of enthusiasm in either choice of candidate. I'll note that I just saw some polling that suggested that.
And not necessarily the party broadly.
Sorry, what?
And not necessarily the party broadly, right?
I think both potentially. So they were
We should have gotten
disenchanted.
another candidate.
So
It
Democrats
would've
are
worked out better, but yeah.
like Democrats are not very enthused by their party leadership at the moment. That's showing up in polling. So I think enthusiasm for the candidates has something to do with it. I think in general, feeling as though shit doesn't matter and the election doesn't matter. Who really cares? Less passionate about it.
Yeah.
Like COVID's not on their minds. So
A lot of like the working class.
these are
started
all
voting
stories I
for
can tell,
Trump.
but I don't really know. And I'll have you know that I just saw polling that suggested that if everyone voted, Trump would have won by even more.
I mean, but they didn't vote, so I don't know what that means. I'm so sorry.
So they polled specifically.
Like
people,
I work in a lab, and I don't know what that means. Like I'm.
so
very
you don't know what it
familiar
means.
with statistics.
So if everyone voted, as opposed to just a subset of people of eligible voting, you understand that?
Yeah, and you're extrapolating what they would have voted for anyways.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry. That's like literal magic to me.
What about that is magic? So I'm suggesting I looked at polling this maybe
No, I'm
even
saying
today
that
or
the
yesterday.
polling, this framework for the polling. If every person of the third of America that didn't voted, and they were gonna dominantly vote for Trump.
Not dominantly.
I'm sorry, they didn't vote. I don't care. I didn't see it happen. It didn't happen.
Sorry,
if you're gonna try and predict the vote
I'm
of
having trouble here. So
a third of the country,
do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand? Like
No, I do. 100%.
Okay. So
You're saying this study predicted the vote pattern for the remaining third of the country who didn't vote, and predominantly they voted for Donald Trump, or he still would have won.
that the polling
Right,
suggests
and you and I both agree they could have gotten something better with a different candidate. It's not necessarily a problem with the party, because the party was doing a lot of leftist things going into 2023, 2024.
I don't understand. So I'm trying to just tell you that I saw polling that suggested when they polled people, regardless of their intent to vote, whether or not they did vote, that's some
I'm being an
evidence.
empiricist.
Huh?
I'm being an empiricist. They didn't vote. Didn't happen.
I agree they didn't vote. We don't have a disagreement on whether they voted or not.
And that's a problem. That's the problem.
Well, I
right?
agree it's a problem.
What motivated them to stay home?
Sorry,
Most of them might have been working.
I'm
like
just
a second
saying
job or
something else, and it sounds like you don't disagree with it. So I'm pointing to
No, I don't. Not at all.
Okay, I'm pointing to polling that seems to suggest that non-voters overall had, as compared to the voters who did vote, if you include the non-voters, that it wouldn't have helped all of the non-voters. It wouldn't have helped Harris. That's all I'm saying. Not that Democrats couldn't have done more to like help and protect their specific non-voters who are more aligned with them. But I just threw that out there. But do you like have a problem with that notion, or you think that that's like stupid polling or something?
I mean, yeah. I mean, my only problem with it is that they're projecting the voting patterns for the rest of the nation based on people. It's literally just standard statistics squibbling.
Oh, you don't agree with
I'm
like
an
polling?
empiricist. Yeah, I mean, I'm an empiricist. These people just didn't vote. We should focus on getting these people out to vote instead of projecting
I'm not
from
making any
a
normative
small
claim. I'm not
interviewed
making a normative
population
claim.
what
I'm
they
not.
must have voted.
I wasn't trying
No,
to
no,
make
the
a
paper's
normative
making a
claim.
normative claim. That poll is making a normative claim, right?
I don't understand them to be. Why? What is the normative claim you
Because
think they're making?
they're polling a small population and projecting it to the unvoting base of America.
Why is that?
That's their normative assumption. Because what they're trying to justify is that right-wing ideology is very popular. And populism is good and right-wing populism is good. When in reality, most Americans, they want less student loans, they want free education, they want education reform. They don't want to have to spend $80,000 to, get a degree that may or may not get them in Walmart. Or like whatever, McDonald's, right?
Um, I think that they want that stuff. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
of
depends on the
course they
polling.
want that
But
stuff.
the reason you know that is because of polling, and it seemed like you had you
Yeah,
had like
polling based on
a
the people
position.
that I talked to.
Okay, so you don't have a
I mean,
principal position
in
against
all
the
honesty,
polling.
I feel like if you explain it to people, socialized healthcare is like kind of a no-brainer, right? You want people to be happy and
I
healthy.
know, but it sounded like you
You
were
don't
taking an
want
issue with
people in
polling
the streets
overall
with
because of some
broken legs.
embedded normative assumption in polling, the polling that I provided.
Yeah, you were shilling a right-wing
I'm,
poll that was shilling right-wing narratives that right-wingism is populist and it's popular
that's
and
not
it's
what I
here to
was
stay
intending
forever,
to.
Pisco.
That's not what I was
That's
intending to
not, and
do.
I know I'm trying to divert you off that path
I'm
and
not
towards
trying to say.
why black pillars might be black-pilled.
I'm trying to suggest that it's not as clear cut that if everyone just voted, Harris would have won. I'm not saying that like I'm not making a normative assumption other than just saying like it seems that people
Yeah,
at
this is
least
what the poll said.
yeah, but the same thing that you rely on to claim popular support for your policies are polling. I assume although it's not just people you talk to, right? Are you really making conclusions?
Yeah, but it's better polling.
Why is it yours better polling?
I don't want to pull up the studies and contrast methods. Pisco, I'm so sorry. The purpose I'm here is to talk about why people are black-pilled.
Okay, why are people blackpilled?
I'm curious from you. I mean, you've given, a couple of your reasons, right? We've got a distinction between viewers and their influencers who are, absolutely black-pilled and will try and disseminate like a black-pilled narrative against the Dems, maybe pushing them to conservatives, maybe just doing nothing.
I think it
with their
depends
vote
who you
at all.
asked. I think it
And
depends
then
who
you
you
got a
asked.
group of people who are just not out voting, who are allegedly leaning right-wing.
Well, so I don't know why I told you I think I don't have a strong view on why the people who are blackpilled are blackpilled. I don't have a strong view on that, and I'm not so sure that everyone who is not motivated. I think the most motivated people are at this point in terms of the country likely to vote for the Democrat. But that changes sometimes depending on the different thing. Like I just think that America is a
There's different
very
demographics
very
voting, right?
divided country. And I don't
It
really
is.
I don't really have a view on why people are not motivated. I'm not a strong position on it.
I mean, do you have a couple of ideas? Right, because I
If
feel
I
like
had
this
to
is actually very
spitball,
important
if I
to
had to
ask,
if I had to spitball, I think that
Yeah.
in general, a lot of people, the people who are blackpilled, probably aren't super enthused by the political system. They feel that they're left behind. They're not enthusiastic about their choices. They're not
Why not?
connected to. Why are they
I agree with that.
enthused? I'm not sure.
Yeah, why aren't they enthused?
They think that everyone's the same. That politicians are not speaking to their
So
interests.
they thought that the cabinet of Kamala and Trump would have been, so Trump was preferable, or like just nothing at all. Let the people decide.
I
They're
think
just like,
if you're
oh,
talking about
like,
blackpilling
whatever.
people who are blackpilled who think it doesn't matter, I'm assuming that they think that like the choice is irrelevant. That as between the two, they either don't have a preference or they don't have a strong enough preference to actually make the effort to go vote. And so those people, I don't think that they're like super highly partisan. Maybe there's some selection of highly
Yeah.
informed, highly indifferent people. I'm not sure. Like I think the more informed you are, the more likely you are to not sit it out.
Pisco, do you mind if I tell you a quick story?
No, I don't mind.
I had to take an exam, and this was, a digital exam that was backed up by, a company that does these. And the woman outside, this was for a federal institution that I was applying.
Mm-hmm.
And the woman who was managing the exams was a black woman, and I chatted with her a little bit. And I was telling her, like, this is what I'm applying for, this is what I plan to do. But, if Kamala loses this election, I don't think that I can go through with it. I think that it's going to be a very different presidency with Donald Trump involved. And you know what she did? She just shook her head and clicked. She was a little bit older than me. I don't know how much, but she has seen some shit.
Okay.
And she was not convinced that they would be different. And I don't even know, like, she wasn't wearing a keffiyeh. I don't know if she was involved in Palestine or whatever, or if she was just like, wow, like, Biden never got rid of ICE. And, here it is, Gestapo with 10x the currency. Right? It's obviously
Nice
a different
troll.
organization now with $1 million more inside
Nice
of
troll. Hey, have a great
What do
night,
you
man.
mean?
It's a troll, man.
Have a
Come
good
on.
night.
Yeah. Good shit, though. Good memes.
Hey, if you like the video, send it to your friends. You can also hit the like button so strangers can see the video. More Cognito Hazard content coming up, so subscribe.
Shake my hand. I apologize if it makes you feel bad. Seeing me so
We are
tense,
America, second to none, and we
no
own the finish line.
self-confidence. But you see, the winner takes it all.
Not only do we have the largest economy in the world, we have the strongest economy in the world.
Swear on my life, I always try, but in my eye, I can slide. Sigh. Better luck next time. 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 Better luck next time.
The dragon has 3 heads. One could be a monarch whose crown will weigh heavy.